stalk the mic like a bounty hunter. I crush them C's up whenever I want to. Play the role, but they could never play the boss. In 89, I'm damned if I'ma take a loss. I want the tie-dye.
The same studio I used to work at, Tony D.O.C used to work at the studio too. Tony D.O.C was the main producer. So I was in there more than him, but if he ever showed up to work, I had to pack up and let him work because he had more of a tenure at the studio. And I was learning a lot from Tony too, because Tony was R&B and I was just really getting into R&B. And he was just dope to me, man. Everything he did was hot to me. But anyway, he did What's the 411 for Mary J. Blige. So he had a little, his name was building, and Heavy D came to the studio to hear beats from him because Heavy D wanted beats from him. So while even though I didn't know Hev at the time, so I was at the studio and I didn't really speak to Hev, but I knew Puff. So I was speaking to Puff and I was like, yo, Puff, I got some tracks, you know. So Puff was like, Hev came here to hear Tone's beats, you know. So why don't you come down to my office, you know, and play some beats. So the next day I went to Puffy office and play him some beats, right? And he was like, Hev might like a couple of them beats. He said, but this demo you play for me, man, let me show you this beat. He was trying to put my cassette in. I was like, nah, man, nah, that's my shit. I'm trying to get a deal. I don't, you know, I'm not interested in selling none of the beats. So he was like, okay, no problem. So I left it at that. Then maybe about a month later, I came home and my mother was like, somebody named Puffy called. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, I don't know. He said to call him as soon as he got in. So I called and I was like, Puff, what's up? And he said, yo, you still got the studio, right? I was like, yeah. So he was like, I got this artist, man, that I want to sign to Uptown, right? But he don't have no demo. And in order for me to convince Andre to sign him, he needs a demo, you know, and he ain't got no demo, man. If I bring him to you, would you, you know, put together something for him so we can have a demo? And I remember I was on the phone going, what the fuck you mean you signing somebody that ain't even got a demo? You passing on my shit and I got a whole album, but you about to sign somebody. Who the fuck is that good? Ain't nobody that fucking good that they're gonna get a record deal without a demo. This is what I'm just saying to myself, looking at the phone, going, what the fuck? And I said, yeah, when you want to bring them? I said, bring them. And he didn't tell me who it was or none of that. Not until I opened up my door and it was Biggie Smalls. It was Biggie Smalls and DJ 50 Grand and Mr. C. And I think Damon, Biggie's homeboy Damon, might have been with him. It was like four of them. And that's how I met Big. That's the day I met Big. And I did the demo called Biggie Got the Hype Shit. You can find it on YouTube. I did the demo and they left, but I had the real. I had the 8-track reel. So I stayed in the studio all night. Well, for hours after they all left, it was just me and this fucking reel listening to this guy. I was like, yo, at one point, I said to myself, I think I need to consider what Puff talking about, man, and start making beats, because there's some new shit coming, man, with this rapping, man, that I don't know, man, it's dude. And I kept listening. And then I realized what it was about him that was blowing my mind was that he didn't have no pattern. And so once I realized that, he freed me up because, and I always tell people he changed my life overnight, because after I stopped listening to that 8-track, I left the studio, locked the studio. I went home and I wrote a song. And then I got up early in the morning, looked at what I wrote, got up, threw my clothes on, and ran back to the studio and recorded the song, right? So when I recorded the song, it just so happened that same day, I'm at home, I get a call from Puff, and he's like, yo, listen, you sure you don't want to sell this beat? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, which beat? Play the one you're talking about for me, right? So now I'm saying I'm gonna sell it to him because that Third Eye shit is out the door. I'm on some different shit now. so I don't really need that beat. And he played it for me. And I was like, well, how much you gonna give me for it? When he told me how much he was gonna give me for it, I was like, oh shit. He said, yo, there's another one on here too. And I was like, yeah, you can have it, because I'm thinking like, oh my God, how much money this man is, offering me for these tracks. And so, he said, listen, I'm gonna come to the studio to hear some more tracks from you, And so he came about maybe 3 days later. And while I was playing beats for him, I played that song that the day after I heard Biggie, the song I wrote and I recorded it, I played it for 10 seconds. And then I moved to the, because back then you got DAC players. So I'm looking for the beats. And when I got to that, I played it. I let it play for 10 seconds. Then I stopped, went to the next beat. And I remember he said, I want that beat you just played, man, right? And he was like, hey, I'm gonna like that one. So I was happy. I was like, bet. He said, but who was rapping that you didn't want me to hear, right? And I was like, that was me. And he was like, that was you. That wasn't you. I was like, that was me. He said, play that shit for me. And I played it for him. And the rest is history. That's how we started with Bad Boy and everything, just off of that. Because at that time, Biggie was about to be signed to Uptown. So, it was those demos that eventually they became Craig Mack's songs. You know what I'm saying? They became Craig Mack songs.
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying after I left, he signed Craig Mack. And he gave Craig Mack my demo and told him this is what he wanted. Now, this is what Craig Mack told me personally, before, way before he died, but he told me that, and I wasn't mad at him or anything like that because I was influenced by Biggie. So, for you to say you was influenced by me, I mean, even though you straight listened to my demo and I mean, all of those songs, he just switched them around. That Flavor in Your Ear, that was my song. Can I Get Down? I was just saying, that's the same thing. Can I Get Some? He just said, can I get down? It's like that, y'all. I was like, here we go, y'all. Same thing. Same shit. Yeah.
Huh. Now, getting with the blue funk aspect of it, when you did, there's 3 songs that you did on there, and the posse cut, the Bunch of Brothers songs, I was curious because Heavy D, at least to me, was famous for not really being rough or using profanity or saying bad stuff on his songs. He had Don't Curse on Peaceful Journey, but then on Blue Funk, the song you're on and you produced, the Bunch of Brothers, the posse cut with Biggie and Busta Rhymes, etc., Guru. That just seemed like such a drastic change for a Heavy D song. So do you remember why that concept, that idea and everything appealed to him and have people on his album cussing like that?
Because he trusted Puffy. Puffy came up with that idea. Puffy came up with the idea to call it that. Because I didn't want to call it that myself. For years, I made a lot of money off of those songs. And for years, I would be speaking to, people at MCA Records and go, oh, you produced for Heavy D? What songs you did for Heavy D? And then when I would get to that song, they would go, oh, that's my favorite. And I'd be like, damn. But I really enjoyed recording it. I always am thankful to Heavy D because he let me ride with him. He took me along for the ride. He was already a gold and platinum artist. He was going to go gold and platinum whether I was on that album or not. So for him, but there was still some give and take. It was Heavy D was the kind of artist that he was always staying abreast on what was hot and what was coming that was going to be hot. And he always positioned himself where he was right there on the forefront. And he thought at the time that, the next thing was me. So, I remember I had told Puff, I said, yo, Puff, I'm going to the studio tonight. I'm gonna hang out with Hab and shit. Hab want me to come to the studio. And I remember Puff was like, don't play none of your shit for him. I'm telling you, don't play none of your shit for him. And I was like, why you say that? He said, I'm telling you, B. listen to me when I tell you, don't play none of your shit for him. And I was like, okay, I won't. But I couldn't resist. This was Heavy D, you know. And sure enough, you know, and I mean, he was like, yo, play that song you was playing in Puffy office the other day, you know, and I played it for him. And he was like, yo, you got more? And I was just playing songs, you know, just playing songs for him. And then the next, you know, when we were doing that cut, you know, I'm listening to him and I'm saying, I said, damn, this dude, you know, even Puff was like, I told you don't play your shit. I told you he was going to break your whole style down and he going to sound like you. That's what he does. You know, that's what he does. Because he said, you don't remember when Heavy D did the song with Biz Markie, when he did the song with this person. He said, go back and listen to them songs. And you see how Heaven sounded like them. He said, because he's a master. He'll take your shit and sound better than you at it. You know, and I didn't look at it. It was mixed emotions, you know, but it is what it is. I'm just that was just the truth, you know. That was just the truth. Hab is gone, but even if Hab was still alive, I would still be saying the same thing, you know, because you know it's true. He put me on, you know, so I'm not trying to shit on him. He put me on. I made a lot of money.
Yeah, on Blue Funk 2, you also had the Slow Down record, which used the same horns that Public Enemy used on Freedom is a Road, Some Child About a Multitude. So I was interested for you at this point. You're starting to have some success. You're getting more out there. You're doing stuff. As a producer, was it, did you have like no fear to use something like that Public Enemy used? Or was it like, we're using it because Public Enemy used it? Like, how did that work for you mentally?
To me, it was different. You know, it might have, to me, it was different because I was just doing so many things. And sometimes, a lot of the times, a lot of the sounds those were like additive sounds, you know, that weren't like, I would come up with a main idea and then, okay, this needs some horns. I'm just going through my disc. It's not like I'm picking up new records to say, oh, well, this is the record Pete used for Public Enemy. You know, I might have had that and sampled it a year before I actually going through my disc and, oh, these horns will work. And throw the horns on. So not even realizing that those are the same horns. You know, I just did whatever sounded great. And nobody was really anything back then, you know. I mean, certain things, you know, you couldn't, you know, once Pete did the horns for Reminisce, you know, a classic like that, you know, that was stamped in history. You couldn't, even though I did use it again for Mary J. Blige, when I used it when I remixed Mary J. Blige, because it just only made sense. The song was Reminisce. So, and that was the thing that Puffy was great at. You give him an idea, he facilitated. Because when we were doing the Reminisce remix, I told him, I said, you know what we do? If you was able to get if CL Smooth rhymed on this, and then I'll throw the Reminisce horns in there, shit'd be dope. And he was like, that's a good idea, you know. And then I walk in the studio one day and I meet CL Smooth. You know, that's how I met CL Smooth. I walk in the studio, he's in there writing, you know, in the session. That's how I met him. Oh shit, what's up, CL Smooth? How you doing? And that's how I met him, you know. Whenever I told him, yo, you should do this. You know, with the Dolly My Baby remix, that was also his idea. You know,
in what way? What do you mean?
I used to come up with the ideas for the music. It was my idea to use Watermelon Man. But he would facilitate it, like, you know, with the Dolly My Baby remix. He came and said, yo, we're gonna do this Super Cat remix. He said, what I think we should do is use an old hip hop song, you know, so think of some old hip hop shit that we could use for it. And immediately I said, you know what we could use for it would be dope, LL Cool J 1-900 number, right? And he was like, yeah, let's do that. So we went down to Colony Records, you know, to find the LL album with that on it, a cassette. And we went back to Uptown Records and we played the cassette. And there was really no space on there for us to sample. And I said, well, I know the original, you know, I'll just do something over with the original. And he was like, you know the original? And I was like, yeah, I know the original is Herbie Hancock, Headhunters. I have it at home, and I just do something with it. And he said, all right, and booked the session. And so we were doing it. And he came to me and said, yo, what you think about me, you, and Big rhyming on this track? And I was like, for what? And he was like, you don't think it'll be a dope idea? And I was like, nah, man, I don't want to rhyme on this. And he was like, you could kill this shit. And I was like, he said, I'm serious. Told the engineer, he said, let the tape roll. He said, you know how you be doing your shit? You could come in here like this, right? You could start it off like this. Ring, ring. And I went, oh, shit. I like that. And I grabbed the pen and paper. But my memory, I thought he said bling, bling. He said ring, ring. I remember now he said ring, ring. But when I was writing, instead of ring, ring, I said bling, bling. So a lot of people say I was the first to say bling, bling, which I was, but not in the same context that it became. I wasn't talking about jewelry.
Right. Now, I always knew it was definitely telephone style. That being said, given that Biggie had kind of changed how you were looking at things, now you've done the Bunch of Brothers with Heavy D, you've done demo stuff. Now you're on a song with a video. It's a reggae song, or at least the original version. So what was that process like, growing and developing your relationship with Biggie throughout those couple songs and different things?
Me and Big was together. Well, I wouldn't say together. We was together a lot in the studio. We didn't hang out a lot outside of the studio. I mean, we traveled to California together. We went to a lot of parties together. We did some shows together. We did a show at the Apollo together. But we spoke every day. And I had the utmost respect for him. I already knew he was the greatest. I remember he didn't know, because speaking about the Apollo show, when we was doing the Apollo, when we was about to go perform on the Apollo, we was in the back of the Apollo, outside in the back, and waiting for them to call us to go on. And he came to me and said, yo, man. He said, Puff love you, man. All he talk about is you, man. He said, yo, I know when your record come out, I know y'all gonna blow. He said, and I know I'm next. He said, but that's okay, because I need a little bit of time, to get my shit to where I spit it the way you spit it, right? And I remember I was smoking a blunt, and when he said that, I said, Big, wait a minute, man. I said, Big, I spit the way that I spit because of you, right? And I remember he looked at me, he was looking at me, and I passed him the blunt. He looked at me, he took a toke of the blunt. I said, yo, I'm dead ass serious. He was like, I ain't fucking with you, man. And he turned around and walked away. And I remember, because as soon as he said, I ain't fucking with you, Puff comes out. He was like, come on, y'all, it's time. And I remember walking behind him into the Apollo through the back door, saying to myself, this motherfucker don't know who he is, man. He don't realize who the fuck he is. That's crazy. And when we did that show, he should have known, because, me and Puff, we did our thing. But every time when he opened his mouth, the crowd went crazy, man. My mother was in the audience at the Apollo, and even when it was over, when I walked my mother to the car when it was over, I said, what you think? She said, y'all was nice. She said, I like the fat boy. My mother said that. And I said, oh yeah, that's Biggie, he's special. She was like, yeah, I like him, he's funny. You know what I'm saying? And my mother's religious, man. And he was, Big was talking a lot of profanity, but it still was something about him that my mother even liked. Because I said, what you think about the show? She was like, yo, it was okay. She said, what's his name? Puffy? I was like, yeah. She said, yeah, he was like, she said, but I like the fat boy. And I was like, oh yeah, that's Biggie. She was like, yeah, I like him. He funny. That was big.
Wow. Okay.
And I want you to listen real close to me. I'm going to ask you some real simple questions, and I want some real simple answers. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You said that you couldn't have possibly been at the crime scene at 11:15 because you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and my hardcover book at 11:15 when the crime scene occurred in Soren's book.
The history of gangster rap.
So you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying the books.
Right. At 11:15, I was at the bookstore at 11:15, and when I bought the books and accidentally left them at the store.
So at 11:15, you couldn't have been at the crime scene because you were buying books, right?
At 11:15, when I was leaving, it was some people coming in, and I forgot to grab.
But you don't remember who
what they look
people,
like.
what they look like or nothing, right?
No.
So, at 12:15, you were in the bookstore buying my audio book and hardcover book and Soren's book at 12:15. So you couldn't have been at the scene because you were buying the books, right?
Yeah, at 12, exactly, at 12:15 exactly, I was at the bookstore.
Now you see. You know you done fucked up.
Which you mean?
First you said you were at the bookstore at 11:15, and then you said it was 12:15. You know you done fucked up, man.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he fucked up.
You fucked up.
Man, you confusing me, man.
So, you get my book, my audio book, 40 years in Soren's book, History of Gangster Rap, and if you don't, you know you done fucked up, right?
Man, the more those cops ask me questions, the more I wish I bought them motherfucking books.